Hey everyone, I'm Delicia. Thanks for tuning in to my weekly top 5 cigars. These, of course, are the cigars that are coming out of my humidor. Highly recommended for your week of smoking. Starting with number 5, we have the Fratello. This is the Bianco, so part of the Fratello Bianco line. It does come in a variety of sizes. The ranging on pricing is about $9, $10, of course, depending on what size and where you buy it. The blend itself is featuring a Mexican San Andres wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and then filler from Nicaragua, Pennsylvania, and Peru. So exciting. You don't see a ton of people using tobacco from Peru. Interesting flavors on that. So with this one, you get a mixture of cedar, you get a little bit of the dried fruit, kind of like a dried cherry, more or less, a little bit of anise. You get a background of some nuttiness once in a while, kind of mixing in. And then again, some white pepper. I'm not sure if I already mentioned that. But nice little stick, not super complex, not incredibly strong, but definitely not a mild stick, probably about medium or so. So again, it's safe for those of you who are, avid smokers. Probably want to gauge yourself if you're a brand new smoker. Definitely, anytime if you're a new smoker, you definitely want to have a meal in your stomach. I meet a lot of new smokers, especially recently. I've been doing more events and I've been meeting a lot of people that are commenting on these weekly top 5s that they're using them for, again, for their smoking experience. So I try to mention when some are really strong or if they're not super strong. So that one, again, is not super strong, but, a little bit of an avid smoker would enjoy that one. Maybe not a brand new smoker. But again, if you're a new smoker, you should pretty much try a little bit of everything so you can find out what you like. So definitely work your way into some of those cigars that are a little bit stronger. Number 4 this week is going out to the Bellas Artes. This is by AJ Fernandez. This is not a stranger to my list. In fact, pretty much AJ Fernandez is a go-to blender or cigar maker for me personally. Anytime I find myself in a humidor, if there's cigars that either there's not too many I'm not familiar with, but if you are a newer smoker and you go into a humidor and there's cigars that you're not really familiar with, if you see anything that has the AJ Fernandez name on it, you're pretty safe. I can't think of a cigar that he's blended that I didn't like. Pretty much all of his cigars are good. He grows his own tobacco. He's an exquisite blender. He does a lot of different collaborations with different people. So again, lots of different people are making cigars with him, especially these days. But this is back to this particular stick. It's the Bellas Artes, made in Esteli, Nicaragua, at his gorgeous factory. And taking a closer look, it's actually a Nicaraguan puro, but it's featuring a Rojita hybrid wrapper. So a little bit of a difference on that one. With this one, you're going to get little notes of cedar. You get black pepper. You also get some citrus, like an orange peel citrus once in a while that pops in and out. Pick up a little bit of cinnamon when you get into it. And what was the other one on this one? You get a little bit of a light, kind of a nutty background once in a while. Again, in and out, as in you're smoking the whole entire thing. And then the smoke itself is a little bit on the creamier side. So nice mixture here. This one's not super strong. It's, most of the cigars out there are going to fall in that medium category. So again, talking to those of you who are newer to smoking, don't be afraid to try some of the cigars that are medium bodied, medium strength, that kind of thing. As long as you have a good base in your stomach and you have a meal, you can definitely, you'll be fine with it. You're not going to get, sick or anything like that. If you do find yourself getting a little queasy or anything, because it happens, to either if you're smoking a lot, if you're in a location where there's tons of cigar smoke, you might find yourself a little, nauseous or queasy for a moment. Few different things you can do. One, step outside, get some fresh air, put the cigar down. That's number one. Definitely want to make sure you've had a meal of some sort. If you haven't, that should be like the place that you go right away, is just to get some food in your system, whether it's some crackers, granola bar, anything you have on hand, but preferably an actual meal. You can also try sugar. The sugar trick is something that I see all the time. If you're pretty much anywhere, there should be access to sugar, because whether it's like a sugar cube, a sugar packet, that's a little trick. So again, talking to those of you who are newer to smoking, I have had that question, come up in some of the different videos, like what do you do if your cigar makes you sick, or you get, you have maybe a stronger cigar, or sometimes it'll just hit you in a different way. Definitely try the sugar. Try a little bit of like even a soda, something carbonated, ginger ale, things like that. But I actually will be doing a separate video on some little tips for stuff like that. But I just thought I'd address that because it popped into my mind. You know me, my random thoughts, they come into the videos every so often. So that was just a quick one. Going back to the lineup, continuing on with number 3, this is the Toscano. This is the Classico. I have had this one in the lineup fairly recently. This is a cool little stick, and before, I'm sure there's already comments or people thinking in their head, hey, you're supposed to cut the cigar in half. Well, let me address that real quick, because I posted a picture a while back on Instagram, and a handful of people were like, oh, Delicia, you're supposed to cut it in half. You're not supposed to smoke the whole thing. Well, actually, you can do either. So that intrigued me to get to see so many people commenting on that. I actually reached out to the manufacturer and to the distributor of the cigar, which is Miami Cigar and Company here in the States. The cigar is meant to either be smoked as one, or you can cut it in half and share it. I heard people do that a lot. They buy one, between friends, and they cut it in half and they split it. Reason being, it is a little bit of a stronger cigar. To me, it's not super strong, but a little bit stronger than some of the other cigars out there. But really, it's a slow burning cigar. So that might be the reason behind cutting it in half and sharing it. I've been smoking this one. I lit it probably 15 minutes maybe before I turned the camera on and was smoking it. And I'm still barely an inch, not even, into the stick. So it is a really slow burning stick, which is cool for those of you who want to take your time and, maybe open up a bottle of wine or whatever your pairing may be for the day. But yeah, you could definitely, again, cut it in half, smoke the whole thing, whatever your preference may be. But the cigar itself is different because the tobacco is grown in Italy, in Tuscany, actually. And the original blend was actually from Kentucky, but they actually started growing the tobacco with the Kentucky seed there in Tuscany, and then they're using that fire-cured process. So you get a really nice aroma to this cigar. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a hickory, something that you would imagine on a fire, like if you threw some hickory chips and those wood chips into your barbecue grill or just a fire, you have that really nice aroma to it. And you pick up some of those notes when you're actually smoking it, but you also get a little bit of a savory, not a lot of sweet, it's pretty much savory and some spiciness to it. Roasted, a lot of those roasted notes. So a nice stick, good blend, just something a little bit different. Continuing on with number 2, we have the Cohiba Macassar. This was a fairly higher end stick. I believe the smaller of the sizes starts at about $21, $20, somewhere in that realm. So it is a little bit pricier, but that was kind of on purpose. That when they launched this cigar, it's supposed to it's similar to like the ebony wood. So they're using that process of how the Macassar ebony wood is a very difficult wood apparently to work with or to finish, something along those lines. So that was the idea behind this particular one. It was meant to be a higher end cigar. I believe it was supposed to replace the collaboration they did a while back with Jay-Z, the rapper. That was, it had a different name. It was like, I want to say Commodore, but I forgot the name of it. Anyways, the Macassar came after that, and it's kind of, I think, supposed to have some similarities. I don't know exactly. I'm just going off of memory. But this stick is actually really tasty. And again, a nicer looking cigar. It actually comes in a beautiful box. If you look at buying a box of these, are a pack of 10, I believe it is for the box. But really nice. This one has a Connecticut Habano wrapper, a Connecticut broadleaf binder, and then Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. You get a little bit of like a damp, earthy vegetation feel like when you first light it up, but then it goes on to give you some nice roasted coffee bean. It develops into somewhat of a creamier smoke, and you also pick up gosh, you pick up some vanilla, caramel kind of mixed in here. So it's a nice stick. It's a really good flavor. Again, medium, not quite full on the body and the strength, but along those medium lines. But it's a nice cigar. Which brings me to number 1. This is the Muestra de Saca. This was the Nacatamal. I think I did a full review of this one a while back. I'm almost positive. This one is the second in the Muestra de Saca lineup by Steve Saka, who used to blend for Drew Estate, and then of course he went off solo and is killing it with his company, the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Just killing it with the different blends that he's doing. He's another one that if you see his name attached to something in the humidor, you definitely can trust that it's going to be a great stick, not just the taste, but the construction. He's very particular about who's making his cigars, and he's one of those people that's very involved in the process. He's there, he's like, you know, making sure everything's done properly. So great stick. This one has a very simple little ribbon foot band that comes right off, obviously, when you light it. So then you're left with a naked cigar when you're smoking it. Has a little bit of a pigtail on it, but a beautiful looking cigar. I mean, only top quality tobacco, really, really nice mixture, and again, just a good looking stick. And this one has an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, and then it has a Nicaraguan binder and filler, but the kick with the filler and the whole idea behind this particular one is that the filler is used with tobacco all coming from the same farm. So that was kind of more or less like an old school way of doing things, where nowadays most cigars are using a variety of tobacco. You might have some, even within Nicaragua, like if it's a Nicaraguan puro, you still have, you know, a piece of the leaf coming from Ometepe. You might have another farm, even within Esteli, you might be getting tobacco from, you know, different farms, even within Esteli. But this one is actually all the fillers coming from one farm, which is a big deal because it takes a lot of finesse to really work with those different leaves to still give it something interesting to smoke. That's not super one-dimensional or just kind of boring to smoke. This one is not. It's really nice, great flavors on this one. You do get a mixture of black pepper, you get the anise, you know, the red licorice, vanilla. You get a sweet, kind of a red chili pepper that comes into play, and a little bit of a nuttiness in the background, but it's a really good stick. Again, all the stuff that Steve's blending is just, it's great. It's good stuff. He's humble. He'll say that he, you know, he just likes to make cigars, and he makes them for his own palate. But again, he's a really cool guy and very knowledgeable, and the stuff that he makes I like it a lot, and I know a lot of people that I've met and talked to really enjoy the stuff that he's making. So definitely recommend it. This one is going to fall into a category of being a little bit on the pricier side compared to some of those other sticks that are out there. This one is about 15, I think it's like 15, 16 bucks. And that's if you can find it. I don't know how many are around or if they even have these. I know they were somewhat of a limited production, I believe, but really good stuff and definitely worth every penny. So highly recommend that you give this one a try, as well as the other 4 that I mentioned this week. And as always, I love your feedback. Thanks so much for hanging out with me this Sunday, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers.